Good evening and welcome to Mental Health Matters After Hours with me, Dr Audrey Tang. This is a very special week. This week is, or at least around this week, is Diabetes Awareness Week. This takes place on the 3rd week of June. And so I am wearing my Diabetes UK fleece. You can see at the back there, diabetes is relentless, so are we. Because a lot more people are getting diagnosed with diabetes every week. Now, this show is not going to be all about diabetes. What it is actually about is the use of the media. And the media is there to educate, to entertain, and to inform. And on our previous shows, Skits and Quibbles, we always used to talk about the power of the theatre to get that information across. And this is what we try to do with our show every single week. We bring you the practitioners, we bring you the experts in the field, and we bring you lived experience to really think about those issues that matter to you when it comes to your mental health and well-being. And the reason I mentioned diabetes awareness is because our charity ran a whole production of Still Magnolias in order to raise awareness for diabetes a couple of years ago. And in that production, we were very lucky to have a speaker from Diabetes UK. He came to speak to our audience before the show opened, and he tells us his story. So I'm going to pass over to James O'Neill from Diabetes UK, and he's going to be sharing his experience with diabetes.
Gosh, I don't normally speak to this many people, so if the crutches start rattling, yeah, I've been type 1 for 40 years, and when people say to me, oh, it's just diabetes, cut out your eating, you'll be fine. Do we have many diabetics in the room? Yeah, type 1 or type 2? Type 2. Type 1 or type 2? Type 2. It's a horrendous condition. People do say that, you know, it's only diabetes, but the complications are awful. First hand I've had complications, I've had amputations, nearly lost my sight, sepsis, it goes on and on and on, heart disease. You know, if you look at the list of complications, it's unbelievable. I was 12, I was 5 stone, and I collapsed on a football pitch, and it was all skin and bones. I was taken into hospital, I was diagnosed with diabetes, and I've been injecting ever since. But of course, 12-year-old, I craved chocolate. Of course, you know, couldn't have chocolate, so my mum went out and bought me some diabetic chocolate, which I felt great. She said, don't eat it all at once. I'll get to this. And of course, for me at the age of 12, I thought, stop this. So I ate a lot, and then I went playing indoor 5-a-side football. But unfortunately, as I'm sure you will know, in diabetic chocolate there's a laxative called sorbitol. Well, no one come near me. I could have solved the energy crisis of my backside. It was horrendous, but that was a lesson learned. And as the years went by, did my injections, I hit the teenage years where the 3 things that come before diabetes were football, beer and women. And of course, you know, at that age it was difficult to tell me otherwise. Then a few years went on and I was not on football. I got my dream job really at the Cobblers. But unfortunately I developed neuropathy, so I couldn't feel my feet. I was always walking around the stadium. I got a stone in my shoe, didn't realise, and got diabetic foot ulcers, which if anybody's had a diabetic foot ulcer, they're horrendous to get rid of, and the only way is to give up work. But I wouldn't give up work, and I carried on, and unfortunately, just before my 40th birthday, I was taken into hospital. It had gone, and they said we're going to have to amputate my foot. So my 40th birthday was spent in hospital on my toe. But I did get out and have a party afterwards, and I still did the full Monty. I was really pleased about, you know. But I go up and down the country now doing talks on diabetes, to make people aware of the complications, because the complications are horrendous, as I said before. And it's amazing how you talk to people and they say, oh, it's only diabetes, my nan's got that, just cut out eating, you'll be fine. And then people come up to you and say, I was eating the sandwiches. Well, you shouldn't be eating that, you're diabetic. But you have to learn yourself. And that's where Diabetes UK comes in, and they've been really helpful to me. The technology now with blood devices has improved immensely. And we fought to get them on prescription, the new Libre, I don't know if anybody's heard of that. Have a sensor in my arm, I'll just scan it with my mobile phone. And we fought to get that on prescription because they're £59 each, and they change it every 2 weeks, you have to change them. So that's it's a lot of money for someone on a working wage. But yes, if you want any information, I think it's on the back of the programme, or you want to come and have a chat to me afterwards, please come and have a chat. I find for me with diabetes, the best thing that helps is exercise, and I train 4 or 5 times a week. I know we don't want to do it, and everything in moderation. When people say, oh, you can't do this and you can't do that, well, you can, but you've got to use your local number. So please, if you want to chat at the end, anybody wants to have a chat, please come and see me. I hope you enjoy the show. Thank you.
That was such a moving account from James, and it is so important to not only go to your GP, but actually follow the advice you're given. Now, as well as events that we've run with the community theatre, we also celebrate the importance of volunteering. Social contact, getting out there, being involved, it makes us feel great. Even just looking at someone do a good deed, that makes us feel great. Imagine how amazing it feels if you are part of it. We have also had the pleasure to welcome a number of people doing their bit for the community. And in our first segment, we've got Elona Latifi, who is talking to us about her work with the Albanian community. So let's hand over and have a look at what she's doing with her community. Elona, it's always great to chat with you, and you do so many things with the Albanian Cultural Association. So, first of all, tell me about the Albanian Cultural Association and why you set it up in the first place.
Building an association is not easy. It takes time, patience, and lots of work. Because we are immigrate here and we always feel alone. Some of the peoples from Albanian community doesn't have anyone here. They just have like a friends or no one. And sometimes the barrier of language, it makes the life so difficult. And of course, and if you don't have a proper documentation, is more harder. And the life, what you think to be here is completely different. And for that reason, I thought, why not to build association, to bring all Albanian community together and to support each other. And why not to raise the voice for things we needed in this country, and always to be with the respect rules and everything.
I think that's beautiful. That's such a great vision to have.
Thank you.
And you have run numerous events, and you continue to do so. Tell me about some of your favourite events.
The 2023 was a big year for us because on this year we have run lots of activities. One of the most important events is Albanian Exhibition Ethnographic. Is the event when we try to present Albanian culture and heritage to other communities. Like, we are proud to show our traditional dressing, our traditional things, what we used before in Albania. But also we have a different event which is same of patriotism, like Albanian Independence Day. We try to celebrate this day with song, dancing, poetry, drama, and after that, raising flag. in the Guildhall.
That's fabulous, and it's so
Yes.
lovely to do that in the centre of town.
Yes.
And I do know we have a photograph of one of the events where you are wearing Albanian traditional dress, and
Yes.
it's absolutely lovely because this event took place in the Guildhall. If we have a look there, it's Independence Day, and that was part of the ethnographic
Yes.
history as well, wasn't it?
Yes, but those are not only events what we organize, because we have been part on different projects like a carnival, a mom's group project, warm space, grow, cook, eat. You know, there are events which are supporting Albanian community to reduce stress, isolation, to feel like a big family here.
Yes, that's beautiful. And I know in 2024, one of your plans is to start a language school
Yes.
for children
Yes.
to preserve the heritage. What are your 2024 plans?
The first things what we have planned in 24 is like Albanian language is supported by Art Click Foundation, which is the first step for us for 2024, and because the conditions there are not good, we will try to do our best like a community group. But after that we have planned to start with professional courses to support moms there, Albanian language of course, English language to moms or to other people who need support with their language, and also to carry on with the activities that we have mentioned before. You know.
That's fantastic. And why is, and I know you have such a passion for preserving the Albanian heritage and culture and teaching it to younger generations, why
Yes.
is that so important to you?
To save our heritage is important because it makes you to feel proud about your country. Because what I think is, if you want to deny a country, you can deny the language, culture, heritage, and everything. And always I'm thinking, the new generation, if they grow up with culture and heritage of their country, they always grow good and they always learn.
That's beautiful. And where can we get in touch with you and maybe see your events or know what your schedule is for next year?
For all people who likes to join us, because I call that is a big family, and everyone who's like to come there, they can join us on the Facebook. They can follow us in Facebook and Instagram page with name Albanian Culture Association, and also they can join us on the space where we run activities. There is Leicester Street, and the postcode is NN1 3RS.
Are you encouraged to volunteer yet? If you're on the cusp still, if you're on the fence still, then let's have a chat with Lorraine Lewis. She's the founder of the Lewis Foundation, and she came into our studio with one of her volunteers to talk about the amazing work that they get up to. It's always great to speak with the Lewis Foundation because we've done a lot of work with them over the year, and they are absolutely phenomenal. If you don't know about them, they are an multi-award winning grassroots cancer charity, and they provide care packages to adults who have had a cancer diagnosis. And it's a pleasure to have Lorraine Lewis, the co-founder of the Lewis Foundation here, and Saffron as well joining us. And let's start with you, Lorraine, if that's okay.
Of course.
Why are care packages so important?
First, what we've really identified in hospital is often people are going into a whole new world and setting, and sometimes they just want simple things just to either help pass the time, provide comfort, and just let them know that they're not alone. And I think the whole essence of the care packages from our experiences is seeing that people are going into the hospital often without anything with them, and they're spending either hours or days in there. So just to have something that will just brighten their day and just give them some support or a little bit of home comfort, that's what the care packages are all about.
Absolutely, and it reminds them they're thought of and that someone's there for them, and I just think that's so important because it's a horrible time anyway.
Absolutely.
With regards to your focus, you specifically work with adults, and I think that's really important. Why did you choose this demographic in particular?
Yeah, at the same time when my mother-in-law was diagnosed with cancer back in 2010, we had a young family member that was going through cancer who was a child. So it made us really aware of the difference between adults and children. In that children, there was lots of gifts and visits and entertainment, which I completely understand, to help them, support them through it. But then we would go onto the adult cancer ward and there was just like nothings. So it's just like, just because you're an adult doesn't still mean you want gifts, you don't want visits, you want some support. Yeah. So we thought, let's replicate what we saw for children, for adults, and that's why the focus is on adults, just to give them some care, because we just felt like people felt you're an adult, you can just cope, which is not often the case at all.
Well, I think that speaks to a much wider issue, actually. I think when we grow up, we lose a lot of that carefree love and enjoyment of life in a way, and so it's great that you're bringing that back. Now, what might an adult experience once they've had that diagnosis? Because a lot of people are very afraid, and it is a daunting time.
From the people that we've met over the years, we've experienced people saying the isolation, especially loneliness as well, because even though the pandemic's moved on, a lot of people still go through cancer treatment alone, and that might be because of restrictions on the wards still, especially this time of year. There's a lot of bugs and infections going round. But then what we've found, there's a lot of people that don't have any family members close by. Their family members may have moved away, so they can't come up every day to see them, so they can be lonely, or people who never had children, so they have no one to visit them. And I think something that we've really noticed is the loneliness and isolation for cancer patients, and not having an outlet of someone to speak to. And that's why our work is all about that, just trying to build these connections. And sometimes you can have two patients together, but they might not want to talk. But if you have a pack, they might start playing the game packs that we've got and playing some cards, or just think, well, what's in your pack? So we try to build relationships and break that ice.
Yes, because connectivity is so important, and that social support is such a source of strength. Yeah. Before we go to you, Saffron, because I know, and I'm so grateful to you for sharing your story, just wanted to show a couple of the pictures of not just the packs, but you do a hamper campaign as well. And we've got a couple of pictures of the hamper campaign there. This is on the wards, and you also go around to people's houses as well.
Yeah, so we've been doing that. So every year, throughout December, we ask people to nominate somebody that they know that's going through cancer treatment to receive a surprise hamper from our charity. So it's a luxury hamper, so we work with Waitrose, and then we get individuals and businesses in the community to fund them. And so every day we turn up at people's doors as a surprise, and they don't know we're coming as well, and just to see the joy on their face that there's people out there in the community thinking about them, and just letting them know they matter and this is a treat for you is really special.
And with that, there's just something I know I want to do a lot more work with you on next year, is about cancer poverty and financial toxicity, and the fact that treatment can end up costing you a lot more than just simply the cost of treatment.
I think people don't realise that, because it's not just treatment. You've got to get to the hospital, there's parking, you might not be able to work anymore, so your income has gone down. So we've really seen people suffer this year, and for the first time ever, I've seen food stations set up in hospitals with dried food because people are not eating. So the cancer poverty thing is something that it's not really talked about as much, but it is really happening in the community.
Yeah, and it's absolutely heartbreaking. Now, Saffron, thank you for being here and sharing your story. And would you mind telling our viewers a little bit about yourself and your connection with the Lewis Foundation?
So I've been fundraising for various charities since 2012, thanks to pageants, and I feel like for me it was important to work for a local charity. My employer offered a volunteer day, and a cancer charity was very specific for me due to my dear uncle who has terminal cancer. So I wanted to make sure that I'm giving back in his honour. I just googled cancer charities Northampton because I want to find someone close to home that I can see regularly and that my support will go back to the community that I live in. And I found Lorraine Lewis charity, and I thought, this is it, because what they're doing is everything I believe in. Just because you're diagnosed with an illness doesn't mean you get left alone. Your life still goes on, but people are isolated in hospitals. My uncle is obviously down in London, and you can't have under 16s go visit, which knocks out all the children in the family. And the hours are so restricted, and if I can't go to him or my aunt can go to him, he's on his own. And the thought of being gifted something like what they're doing, it makes them know that they're still important, that their feelings are valid. And cancer doesn't mean your life has to stop. We want it to still continue as much as we can, and the support they give, it just hits every nerve that I have inside, and I want to continue this work for the foreseeable future because I believe strongly in what they're doing, and I think it can become an amazing nationwide campaign in the future as well.
Oh, absolutely, and I hear the passion in your voice. It's so important to have people like yourself going out there and saying you're still a person.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that I know, because when somebody has a diagnosis, the immediate feeling is, I don't know what to say to someone now.
It shouldn't become their personality. They're still who they are. And I feel like these gifts just remind them, we still care about you. Cancer is a part of you, but it's not only you.
Oh, I love that is
so true.
That's a beautiful message, absolutely. Now, what would you want to say to people in terms of perhaps looking after their own health and maybe those caring for somebody as well?
It's really important to not forget that our bodies aren't, indestructible. You have to listen to the feelings that are in your body. If you feel like something isn't right, get it checked. The doctors would rather you go 10 times and nothing be wrong than not go that one time and something be seriously wrong. But those caring for cancer, don't forget that you're also a person too. It's okay to take a step back and say, I need a break. Because having a break can help you help that person more. Because if you get so isolated in providing care for them, you're going to get drained as well, and that person will stop receiving good care. So just listen to your body. Your body knows what's going on, and if something isn't right, get it checked. And if you need a break, take that break. The world won't stop. The world will still continue, but just go back in the future and then things will improve.
And that's underlined another reason why the work that you're doing is so important, because it's almost a bit like respite as well.
It's true.
You're going in, you're chatting with the patients, you're talking to everybody, and it gives them a boost, which in turn can reflect on the caregiver as well.
Absolutely.
It's a wonderful, wonderful campaign. Now, we ourselves at Wellbeing Media Studio, we have also contributed to your Christmas hamper campaign this year. It's something I encourage all businesses to do. I think it's a fabulous thing that you do. What plans have you got for 2024? I mean, we've only got a short show.
How long have you got? I think I know it's something we want to work closely on, about capturing and showcasing the cancer poverty and educating society about it, because it's something that's not talked about, and I think people need to realise that this is happening and we need to rally together to support people. And also for us, it's more doing work to support young people and getting them involved. So we're building up partnerships with local schools so that the young people can get involved, whether it's volunteering or hosting collection drives or just being advocates in the community. And we're just so passionate about young people having that opportunity, because when I was young, there was no opportunity to get involved in a charity. It was all about old people.
Yeah. And like the money boxes, you didn't know what they were for, and you want context, and you're visualising what you're doing is so important.
And we see young people reach out to us all the time. For example, this week, a school in Northampton, Malton School, they all held their own collection for items, and then they had the challenge to make the most creative hampers, and some of them were absolutely incredible. But just to see the time and the effort they put into it, and then the understanding of where it was going, so we want to do more of that. So our focus next year is about helping the young people to understand about the importance of giving.
That's amazing, and it's teaching compassion, it's teaching kindness, it's teaching connectivity. It's absolutely wonderful. Where can we find you in terms of getting involved, or maybe if we're a business or if we're a school and want to bring you in?
Best place is our website, www.theLewisFoundation.co.uk, and all social media channels. If you just search the Lewis Foundation, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, you'll find us as well.
We have been doing some work with The Place. The Place is a community theatre in Bedford, and Lissy and Emma came to our studio to record a podcast about the benefits of volunteering, especially in the theatre world, and that's what we're going to go over and have a look at right now.
I'm Em, Marketing and Communications Officer at The Place.
And I am Lissy Malt, who does all the other things.
That's what it says on the job title. Lissy Malt
does
all the things. Which is quite a good start, actually, for this podcast, because today we are actually going to be talking about working in the arts and volunteering in the arts, which is really exciting because I don't think people probably realise quite how many jobs there are. When we talk about the arts, I think people think that means acting.
And there's one thing.
And there's one thing. It's either being on stage or being behind a camera or being on the radio or making music. But actually, there is so much more that goes on.
Yes.
And you only need to look at the credits of a film, don't you? And they list all the actors, but then the rest of it is this huge list of all the other people that were involved in it. If you didn't have just one of those people, the whole thing just couldn't happen. It's really important. I do a lot of stuff. I'm not going to talk about me, but I do a lot of stuff on set.
Yes.
And a lot of the time you see all these people and you just look at them and you wonder, I wonder what you do. And they might just be sitting there having a cup of tea, but you know they've got a really important job, because they do have a really important job.
They're
just having their
in
break.
port of cups of tea.
Absolutely,
There
is a person.
Because I really
it absolutely
want it.
is a job. It absolutely is a
Really?
job. Oh yeah,
Right, that's my dream job.
There is a job that does that. Just gets the tea. But we don't have a job like that in the theatre. At the plays, it would be nice if we could just employ someone to make the tea.
There's jobs in the theatre. There's volunteering in the theatre. There's the fact that working in the arts is something you largely do for the love of it.
Absolutely.
I think there might be like 2% of people working in the arts who earn incredible amounts of money, and not so many others.
I'm sure they are, but they're not anywhere where we are, sadly.
But thinking about the theatre and our experience of it, forget whether working or volunteering, how many different roles have we done between us?
Oh, crikey. Well, I started...
Let's take turns.
Yeah, okay. Shall I go first?
Yeah.
So I started off in 2019. Well, actually, no, okay, start right from the beginning. The reason I set foot in the theatre in the first place was to audition for a part with one of the community theatre companies, Swan Theatre Company. So I got that part, I did the play, and from there I decided that I would quite like to offer my time and volunteer at the theatre. So I signed up as a volunteer and worked front of house. And we'll talk about volunteering in a minute, because just within the volunteer roles within the theatre there are a number.
Yeah.
And then from there I had the opportunity to apply for the role of distribution assistant, which was a paid role.
I remember.
This was during COVID.
That was 2020.
So it was, because it was right at the end of 2019, just coming into COVID, which we're not going to dwell on, but it was. And so my role, distribution assistant, was really to, once we'd come out of COVID and we were able to go out again, to really just kind of distribute all of our print material, flyers, posters, liaise with our production companies about print material and getting them out to venues, talking about the theatre and getting all that stuff out. So that was that role. And then this year, late last year, but actually that role was quite hybrid, really, because I did that, but I did a lot of other jobs at the same time.
It wasn't just that. Lot more than
I did more than that. All sorts of things. I helped you with marketing and comms. I helped with venue renovations and just general tidying up of the space, and I did a bit of volunteer coordination. I did recruitment.
Yes, working behind the bar.
I did a little bit of funding as well. So there was elements of that. And then this year I started off took over your job. No, I don't do it anywhere as well as you did it. But I'm now the marketing and communications officer, which, we all know what that means. I do a lot of all of the social media stuff. I'm in charge of marketing and comms, but I'm still doing all the other jobs as well. So it's
still distribution.
Still serving behind the bar, still doing all of the bits and bobs around the venue that needs doing, tidying up the spaces and reorganising, and even like this morning making sure there was plenty of loo rolls in the toilets. I mean, come on.
We did, didn't we?
You had the Hoover out the other day.
Rolls.
I think the point we're trying to make here, and we'll talk about your role in a minute, but I think the point we're trying to make is that we are a small venue. There are only 5 paid members of the team. Of those 5, I would say that works out at about 2.5 in terms of full-time.
Maybe 2 total. No, maybe 2.5.
In terms of full-time hours.
Yeah.
Plus our massive cohort of volunteers, which we will talk about. But what was your journey?
My journey? From birth? Or?
No, let's not go back that far. We don't have that long, babe.
That far? What are you trying to say?
No, I'm older than you.
Yeah, that's true.
So your journey in terms of your employment.
My employment at the place.
Yes.
So I was taken on in 2018 by the place to work on their social media, because I'd been doing the social media for one of the community theatre companies as a volunteer for as long as social media existed almost. And they asked me to come in and do a day a week doing the same for theirs and increasing its outreach and raising the profile, which I did. So I did social media like that for a couple of years. And then again in COVID, was it 2020? I think that's when I became communications and marketing kind of officer. So I did that for about 3 or 4 years. And then it's only a year ago that I took over programming and resources management, so learning a huge amount more. And obviously in that time, much like you said, yes, I did the social media, I did the marketing, I took care of print and things, but also doing things like serving behind the bar, working with customers, helping support volunteers, duty management. And then for the theatre companies themselves, I've done acting, directing, stage management, sound. I've never done lighting or set building. I think they're the only things I can't really say I've done, but I have done all of the other things. So yes, that's a nice thing about the job. Okay, we do a lot of things, but it's never dull. There's always something to be done.
Absolutely, you can always find something to do.
Always something to do, and always someone to talk to, which is nice.
Exactly.
So that's the lovely thing, is feeling like over the years I've acquired more skills because I've had to. At the end of the day, I've had to learn as I go along with some things.
Absolutely.
And I've enjoyed all of it. I'd say, like, I don't think there's any of it I'd say I wouldn't want to do. I mean, this year I've had to get my head around the really fun things like finances and you know, the spreadsheety kind of things, which is an aspect of the theatre I'd never done before, really. And, you know, it's okay. As long as I can get on stage every now and then and get my acting fix, and then it's okay. But yes, what were you going to say?
No, I was going to just circle it back to why we're talking about this in this podcast, and why are we talking about this, but why is it important to note about the amount of staff we've got and all those things. And I think the reason that we are talking about it today is because we are a small venue, we are a small team, but we do a lot of really big things.
We do.
With limited resources. And a lot of that comes back to funding, and we are extremely self-sufficient. We don't get funding from a particular place on a regular basis. Nope. We have to generate our own income, and we have to think really clever about how we manage our time and how we use our resources, which is why I think we're making the point that we have our job titles, but we do all the jobs. And we do that because we want to keep the place open and alive and full of all the activities that we've touched on in the previous podcast and that we'll touch on again. But it's so important that I think that we acknowledge the fact that as a small team, we do a lot of stuff. I think that's really important.
And also that we're not alone in that.
We're not alone in that.
I think, you know, this is national. I know people doing similar jobs in other venues, again, if they're lucky enough to still have their venue open, because a lot of them have had to close, and they all work extremely hard because they have to stay open. And it does come back to how, you know, about being part of a large team of people to make things happen, because without the support, without the extra support we get from our staff, who do give more than the hours they're paid for, without the support of the volunteers who give so much time collectively, it wouldn't work. It
wouldn't work. And I think, like you say, that we're not unique. I think every arts venue is in exactly the same position.
Indeed.
And that, I think, brings us quite nicely onto our volunteers. Our beautiful, lovely, kind, generous volunteers. We could make a song.
Shall we?
No.
We love our volunteers. No, nobody wants
we
that.
need to plan that
I'd just
properly.
like to point out I've never been in a musical, so
don't
not worry.
I
have. I've just never had a proper
singing part.
Never a solo.
Is there a reason for that?
I'm not sure, Emily.
We'll talk about that later.
I'll let you be the judge.
I don't want to burst your bubble. I'm sure you're a beautiful singer.
Thanks.
But our volunteers are
Yes, they
fabulous.
are wonderful, and because we love them, I won't sing at them. But
no, let's not.
They are phenomenal.
And I think it's fair to say we could not. Well, we absolutely could not run as a venue without our volunteers.
No, we couldn't.
And they are an integral part of the fabric of the place.
They are.
we have a core group of, what would you say?
I think we probably have, about 50, 50 regular volunteers. And of them, there are probably about 10 who are there on a weekly basis. Who give so much time. A lot of them are people who've come from the community theatre groups, so they've always had an involvement. Some of them were there back. I remember them from when I was a little girl.
A little wee girl.
Yeah, when I was a little girl, back in the 80s.
Oh dear.
And the same people will be there doing all the things, building the sets, running the bar, you know, making the things happen. And they're still around, which is
I think
lovely.
Testament to the fact that they want to be there.
That's what it says about that thing.
Because we just keep them locked in a cupboard?
Pardon?
I said, is it because they want to be there or that we keep them locked in a cupboard?
We keep them locked in a cupboard.
We don't keep them locked in a cupboard.
Can I just
making
that very clear? We do not lock
clear.
anyone in cupboards. She's so silly. But what was I going to say?
I don't know. I massively interrupted you. I'm very sorry. Without them it wouldn't be possible. So a lot of them have come from the community groups, and they're already part of that family. But we do have a lot of people who come to us from all kinds of different places. Very often we find it's people who come to the theatre on a regular basis, or perhaps come for the first time, and they stand and they talk to somebody front of house and realise they're a volunteer and say, oh, is it something I can do then? And then they sign up. It's often just a really simple word of mouth thing. We've had people from Brave, which we talked about in our last podcast.
Lovely.
We've had people from Brave volunteer with us, which again is that next step in that sort of journey.
I love seeing that. When I see one of the young Brave young Braves?
Whatever you want to call them, darling.
And I see them stood at the door with their tablet, you know, welcoming people in, taking their tickets, smiling at them. And the sense of pride on their faces, like, welcome.
Absolutely.
Welcome to the place, our place. Our place is your place. They totally get that. And it's a real joy to see them doing it, but also to see them growing in confidence in doing that as well. It's lovely.
And I think that's a really important point to know, that people perhaps don't realise. When you come to a performance at the place, the first person that greets you and takes your ticket information is a volunteer.
Yes,
the person that serves you at the bar is a volunteer. The person that cleans up at the end of the night and tidies the venue and makes it ready for the next performance is a volunteer. And I think that's a really special thing. People don't realise that, but all of our volunteers, I think, have got such a passion for being there, and they talk about the theatre and the venue so warmly. They do. It's lovely to see. I love it. And I think that's what, you know, when we get feedback from our, not necessarily just audience members, but from anyone that walks into the venue. From the professionals who come in as well. You know, they say that is one of the most special things about our venue, is that, like, and that is our little catchphrase, isn't it? Our place is your place. And I think our volunteers believe that, which is why they come back to us so often. It's a very special thing. And it sort of, I was going to say, let's just run through some of the different roles that our volunteers do at the moment. Very quickly, yes. How long have we got? Not long. They work behind the bar, they welcome people at the door, they show people to their seats. Sometimes they do maintenance jobs, sometimes they do gardening, sometimes they come and help us clean up the auditorium, sometimes they build sets, sometimes they do lighting, sometimes they make cups of tea. They do. That's it. We like making and all the other things. They do lots of things, our volunteers, and I think this is a great opportunity to say thank you to our volunteers, thank you to our staff, the team, thank you to all of our community groups that are part of that process of volunteering. And if you're interested in volunteering for the place, get in touch with us. Get in touch through our social media, Place Bedford. Yes, do it. Drop us an email. Come and see us. placebedford.org.uk. Or come into the venue and see us. We're always open. Saturday mornings for coffee is a great time. But come in and see us anytime. We would love to meet new people, get more volunteers. And you don't have to have a passion in performing arts. Or any experience. Or any experience at all. If you're interested in volunteering some of your time, you want to meet people, you want to get out of the house and do something different, come down and see us, because You know, we love meeting new people.
We do.
We can make you a cup of tea. We're happy to do
We
that.
frequently do.
We frequently do. And we want to expand that group of volunteers. And it would be lovely to welcome new people.
So as we get to the end of this variety show of Mental Health Matters After Hours, it has been my pleasure, certainly, to be involved with so many people and to hear what's going on in our local community. And hopefully you have also been encouraged to maybe see what's out there in your local community. As I said right at the start, media is there to educate, to inform and to entertain. That's what the arts are there for, and those two sit so beautifully together, and that's where I think I notice there's a lot of joy in what we do and when we get to meet people like Lissy and Em of the place in Bedford. The arts and media hub can really be the heart of the community. And as I said, let us know in the comments how you've been getting in touch with your local community and what you've been up to, and have a good night.